I want you to read this one. You're already in a space that gives you permission to lead. When you come in this world, you got a child, I don't care what that child, you are already in a position to lead. You a teacher, you already in a position to lead. You a pastor, you a neighbor, you live in a neighborhood, you got permission to lead. You ain't got to ask nobody permission. As soon as you come in here, you become an adult, you have permission to lead. Does that make sense? You have permission. All right, so I just want to give you two more. All right, number one, I grew up the day I realized you owe you, Eric. I remember being homeless, high school dropout. My daddy didn't. My mama got pregnant at 17, south side of Chicago. If they just would have got together and got married, my father hadn't. And one day God was like, how long you 20 now. How long you gonna keep talking about your daddy? You're 20. Come on, how long you gonna be talking about your mama got pregnant at 17? You 20. You owe you, Eric. You owe you. Your mama don't owe you nothing at this point. Your daddy don't owe you nothing at this point. You need to get that GED. You need to go to college. You need to handle your business. You got this young lady in your life. You need to get her and then try not to lose her. You know what I'm talking about. I bless you. Don't mess this up. You done mess everything else up. Don't mess this one up. Are you hearing me? You owe you. So if you're in this room and you over 12, you owe you. Your mama may not know how to do the math that they doing in school now. It's the new math. Wasn't raised with that. Don't come home talking to me crazy because I don't know how to do that math. It's new math. Yeah, you owe you to figure it out. You owe you to stay let me tell y'all something. I promise y'all. I thought my daughter was academically brilliant. I thought that's my little princess. She getting great grade. I thought she was in high school. I put her in a special program for the SAT. And my man was like, bro, I got bad news. I was like, what's the bad news, bro? He's like, bro, she has a deficiency in math and science. She ain't going to score no more than 17 on this thing. I don't care how hard she tries. I'm like, bro, you lying. Go look at her report card. It's not possible. She always get good grades. Call the school. You know what I'm saying? I'm irate. Call the school. Lightweight embarrassed because of all my degrees in education. I ain't catch it. Come to find out she did have a deficiency, but the reason why her grades was always great, because she would go to school early and meet the teacher before the teacher got there. Or she would meet the teacher at lunch. Or she would meet the teacher after school and do the test a couple times. She realized I owe me. She said, Daddy, I ain't got no deficiency. I just got to do it 2 times. Everybody else just do it once. I ain't got no deficiency. I'm just going to do it 3 times. I ain't got no deficiency. All right. So here's what we want you to do. I want you to use your authentic voice. Write this stuff down. Here's the first thing you need to do. Here's when I became a leader. When I wrote the vision and I made it plain. What you want to do with your life, E? What you want to do with your life, E? Huh? What you want to do? My confidence went to another level when I started to get clarity about my life. When you look at King, when you look at Garvey, when you look at family, when you look at Rosa Parks, what you see is confidence. You see people who are clear on what they want for themselves and what they want for their people. So we're going to do confidence before we leave because it's a big challenge kids have. I want you to be your authentic self. Let me say this to you. I promise you, you are never going to be dope trying to be somebody else. The reason why I blew up in motivational speaking, because I don't look like Tony Robbins. I never even tried to be my man. Zig Ziglar, love Zig to life. Never try to be Zig. I came out with the baseball cap. I came out with the sweatpants. I came out with the J's. I said, what y'all want? Y'all want a dress code or y'all want this heat? What y'all want? I'm just saying, I'm keeping it 1,000. I'm from Detroit. We blue collar. I'm not white collar. I ain't grew up white collar. My people went to work. They had on boots. Ain't nobody wearing no shirt and tie to the plant. I'm blue collar, but I got this work. What you want? You want your sales to go up? You want your people to come in this room and get the mindset when they go back, they take your company to an extra 3-5 million in about a week or 2. I'm your guy for that. If you're looking for dress clothes, I ain't the one. But if you're trying to change the bottom line and you want to move the needle economically, you want your people to work in a way they've never worked before, you want to pull some out of them that you ain't been able to pull out of them, I'm your guy. Don't trip on the money. That little money you paying me, you're going to get a 90% return on that money. I'm going to give you an ROI. What we want? We dressing up or we trying to move the needle? What you want? So let's look past all of this. Because as a matter of fact, when I go in, it looks funny to you, but the people in the room, it's going to be attractive to them. When you walk in with the shirt and the tie, average kid where I come from, he going to look at you when you walk in with a shirt and tie. He going to cut you off because he going to say, you don't relate to me. You don't know what I've been through. I got a shirt and tie too, but I got this PhD. Let's not play games. I'm trained, and I'm trained in your schools, and I'm trained. Michigan State was #1 in education for 20 years. What you want? Young people, confidence. When you lack confidence, it just means you're not taking care of yourself. That's what a lack of confidence is. It means you're not building yourself. It means you're not taking care of what you need. It means you dropping the ball in your own life. Confidence is nothing more than doing what you said you was going to do when you said you was going to do it. Confidence don't have nothing to do with other humans. Confidence is how you feel about yourself, and you feel bad about yourself because you're not doing what you said you was going to do. So it starts with #1, write the vision. What do you want? Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm saying that those of you, your bank account will look different if you stop being fake. God can't bless you while you fake. You would already be in a relationship if you stopped being fake. If you would have just told him who you are off the cuff, he would have accepted you. But you thought you had to be fake, and the fact that you was fake and he caught you in the lie, that's why he ain't with you. If you just would have told him off the cuff, this is what you getting, he probably would have been like that. You still had that job if you hadn't lied and said you do Excel. You just should have said you don't know Excel, but you need the job, though. You done went in on Excel. You didn't even know Excel. You done got fired. They gave your first week. They were like, all right, we got this Excel spreadsheet. You like Excel. On your resume, you put you was Excel'd out. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, most of us are so desperate. Most of us are crying to God. Most of us are saying we're not where we want to be. And God is saying you're not where you want to be because you fake. You a phony. You trying to pretend to people to be something you're not. That if you would just be honest, you'd be further along. Praise God. How many in this room for me before we get into the word? How many of you going to make a commitment that God, from this day forward, I want to feel comfortable being honest with you if I can't be honest with nobody else? As of today, just come on. I want to help you. I'm not here to preach. I want to help you. How many of you are just honest? Amen. Is that all right? I want you to be comfortable being honest. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to think about your life, and I want you to think about a part of your life that could be where you could be further along the road less traveled. Further along the road less traveled. I want you to think of a part of your life like, yo, man, I should be further than where I am right now. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I want you to take ownership. Now, Jeremy gave me a new word today. Jeremy said extreme ownership. And that's what I want you to do. From this day forward, you're about to go to a whole nother level because you're about to take what? You about to take what? Come on, you about to take what? Listen to me. We connected to God, y'all. We don't have to be fake. We don't have to be fake anymore. I wanted to free you up. I remember when I used to be fake. I remember when, and I wasn't trying to be fake. I just felt I wasn't going to be accepted if I wasn't who they thought I was. Does that make sense? So I was what I thought you wanted me to be so that you could accept me. And then God says that you're trying to be something that you're not, so you're never going to be accepted. So just be whatever you are. Nobody's preaching to you to be something else. I'm telling you that when God created you, he had something in mind. We need to be that. I remember Trey Hayden used to tell me all the time, E, you're minoring in your major, you're majoring in your minor. I used to be like, what in the world? He like, bruh, you need to be more. I didn't realize that God did take me to Oakwood, but he didn't want me to take the same path that many of my friends that were in theology. God wanted me to go back in the world. So I looked forward to my boy because it wasn't what? This is what God always had for me, but there was a time where I would be what Trey or Irv wanted me to be, because when I wasn't that, it didn't seem like they accepted me the same way they accepted me when I dressed the way they wanted me to dress. When I talked the way they wanted me to talk. And perhaps if I would have just been myself,
they still would have accepted me. I just felt like they wouldn't accept me if I was myself, and so I pretended to be something I wasn't, and I wasted a whole bunch of time because I ended up coming back to myself. And we still cool. Herb was just at Michigan State. We still cool. So God is saying you don't have to be fake. I know you in your mother's innermost parts before you were created. Come on, before you were born, I knew you. If you got a sexual addiction, just tell me. If you an alcoholic, just tell me. If you can't read, just tell me. God says when you was at Oakwood, you couldn't read. Why didn't you just tell me you couldn't read? Why was you faking it like you could read and you were skipping class, not because you wanted to skip, but you skipped on the days that they was going to make you read out loud? You should have just confessed you couldn't read and I could have helped you. I'm just telling you, some of you in this room, man, God got so much for you and you can't get it because you're being fake. So I want you to think about an area. Go back to the definition. I want you to think about an area, according to the word forward, where you can go forward. The adverb, in the direction one is facing or traveling toward the front. I press toward the mark of a high. I press toward. Don't nobody press backwards. You don't press backwards. You press forward. And there are those of you in this room, because of what you've been through, you are quitting. You are giving up. You are surrendering. That is not God-like. That is not a characteristic of God. God didn't give you that. The enemy told you to be by yourself. The enemy told you to be lonely. Why? Because when he rejected God, he ran from God. Don't you run from God. Don't you run from your calling. Don't you run from your gift. Don't you run from the struggle. That struggle is meant to make you strong. That struggle, let me tell y'all something, I'm just being 1,000. When God gives you a gift and you in that gift, man, you could be so arrogant. I never knew I was going to be this. God is so smart that he knew I was going to be this. Oh, y'all missed what I just said. God knew when I was a high school dropout, when I was living in an abandoned building, eating out of trash can, God never even saw me like that. God been saw me like this. Oh, y'all missed what I just said. I'm talking to somebody. God don't see you like your mistake. You see you like your mistake. God don't see you like that. God don't, listen to me. I got one homeboy who always want to remind me when I see him. He always want to remind me. Remember that car accident you got into when you were somewhere, being somewhere you were? I'm like, why does he always want to remind me? God don't even remind me of that. Every time I see my man, that's all he want to talk about. But I get it though, because I'm walking in my gift. I guess that's offend you. So you got to try to always remind me of the worst part of my life because you don't want to accept the great part of my life. I'm not mad at you, bro. But God didn't see me like that. God saw me as this. And because God saw me like this, he allowed that to happen because God knew if nothing ever happened to me and I just got this, that I would be arrogant. But some of the mistakes I made is what made me humble. Some of the mistakes I made is why I connect to other people. It ain't the PhD that make me humble. It ain't the New York Times bestseller that make me humble. It's the stuff that I got into that God had to come and get me out himself.